I was 27 when it happened, old enough to know better, but still young enough to believe that doing something nice for your family wouldn't turn into a federal case. I'd just gotten a pretty decent promotion at work. Nothing wild, just a bump big enough to make me feel like I could breathe for once without checking my bank app afterward. So one lazy Sunday over dinner at Mom and Dad's meatloaf night, which always brings the crew, I dropped the bomb. I'm talking everyone on vacation. All expenses paid. Beach house, flights, food, the whole deal. Just pack a bag. Silence. Forks frozen in midair. Dad blinked like I just announced I was buying a private island. My little brother Luke hooped like he just hit a game winner in the driveway. And Mom? She teared up. The kind where she reaches for a napkin but pretends she's just wiping sauce off her face. Then there was Caroline. She leaned back in her chair with that sour lemon look she always got when someone else was the center of attention. She crossed her arms, tilted her head, and said, "Oh, that's generous. But don't you think maybe you should have asked us first? What if we had plans?" Plans. She couldn't plan her way out of a paper bag, and everyone knew it. "Well, I figured a free beach house in Destin would clear most people's calendars," I said, smiling like a guy who already saw the storm clouds. She gave me a fake smile, one of those, "I'm pretending to be polite, but I hate your guts right now," kind, and muttered something about not needing a pity vacation. Now I should have known right then that Caroline wasn't gonna let this go easy. She never could stand it when someone else looked good, especially if it made her feel like a background character. She'd spent most of her life trying to be the main event, even if she had to set off fireworks in a fireworks factory to do it. But I brushed it off. I mean, this was my big move, finally treating the people I cared about to something real. We weren't fancy folks. Our family trips growing up were mostly roadside motels and cooler sandwiches. This was gonna be beachfront, baby. Fire pits and shrimp boils. I wasn't about to let her sourpuss spirit ruin it. So over the next 2 weeks, I booked everything. Flights for 6. 7-bedroom beach house right on the sand. Rental van. I even made custom little welcome bags. Yeah, I got a little carried away, with sunscreen, flip-flops, and those cheesy family trip 2023 shirts in neon blue. Everyone was excited. Even Mom started counting down the days on the fridge calendar. Everyone but Caroline. She complained about the color of the shirts, about the flight times, about who got which room, about the fact that I planned it without consulting anyone. Like this was a committee project, not a gift. Still, I held my tongue. Figured once we got there and she felt the ocean breeze, she'd chill out. She'd sip her drink, sink her toes in the sand, and maybe, just maybe, remember how to be human. But the thing about Caroline is she doesn't cool down. She heats up. And what came next? Well, let's just say that plane was never going to hold both of us. A week before the trip, Caroline started stirring the pot like a church lady at a chili cook-off. It started small. A snide comment here, a just saying there. At Sunday dinner, she casually asked Mom, "So, did you hear about the hurricane season this year? I read Destin's been getting hit hard. Hope Jack checked the forecast before dropping all that money." Then she looked over at me with that smug little smile, the one that made me want to toss a dinner roll at her head. I shrugged. "Weather looks fine to me." "Sure, if you trust apps," she said, sipping her iced tea like she just solved a murder. That same night, Luke pulled me aside. "Hey, man, just so you know, Caroline's been saying some stuff. Like how maybe this trip's just your way of buying attention. That kind of stuff." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so Caroline. The girl could twist a compliment into a slap. "She can say what she wants," I told him. "I'm still going to the beach." But then she took it further. She called Mom late at night and told her she didn't feel comfortable with Jack calling all the shots. "He's just trying to do something nice," Mom said. Caroline fired back. "It's manipulative. He's trying to make himself look good. And if he thinks he can control everything on this trip, he's got another thing coming." That's when she started pitching an idea to the family behind my back. Said maybe she should be the one to organize things once we got there, meals, outings, even the rental car schedule. Said it'd be better if she hosted the trip, that way no one felt like they were in Jack's debt. The nerve. She even had the gall to call the rental house manager behind my back and ask if she could swap the master bedroom reservation into her name. Thankfully, the lady called me directly and said, "Hey, some woman named Caroline tried to change the booking. Everything all right?" I had to laugh. "Ma'am, if anyone asks to move me out of that house, kindly tell them to take a long walk off a short pier." Then came the final straw. 2 nights before the flight, Caroline texted the family group chat and said, "Hey everyone, just a heads up. If Jack's weird about anything on this trip, let me know. I'm not afraid to speak up. No one should be uncomfortable just because he paid for it." She tried to start a mutiny on a vacation she didn't spend a dime on. That's when I decided I wasn't about to let her ruin it for the rest of us. I screenshotted that message, took a deep breath, and did what any rational, fed-up, ticket-holding American would do. I canceled her flight. Yep, straight up. Called the airline, confirmed the cancellation, and sent her a polite little message. "Hey Caroline, seems like you've got a lot of concerns about the trip. Figured it'd be best if you sat this one out. No hard feelings." Her reply? Pure fireworks. "Are you serious? You're unhinged." I'm telling Mom. I didn't even respond. Just leaned back, poured a drink, and texted Luke. "Guess who's not coming to the beach?" He replied with one word. Finally, we got to the airport early, like responsible folks who weren't trying to ruin anyone's day. It was me, Mom and Dad, Luke, and my cousin Hannah who tagged along last minute when one of the extra bedrooms opened up, Caroline's, actually. Funny how that worked out. I'd already checked us all in online. Everything was smooth, bags underweight, flights on time, no line at TSA. Felt like the vacation gods were smiling down. Right up until I saw a familiar mop of frizzed-out blonde hair charging through the terminal like a freight train fueled by spite. "Jack!" Caroline's voice echoed down Gate C. She was dragging a hot pink suitcase behind her, wearing flip-flops loud enough to startle pigeons, and her face was full storm mode. Now let me back up a second. I hadn't told anyone outside the family she wasn't coming. I figured I didn't need to. She wasn't on the flight manifest, and I sure as hell didn't expect her to show up anyway, not after I canceled her ticket. But that's the thing with Caroline. She don't believe in reality unless it benefits her. She marched up, out of breath, and barked, "Where's my boarding pass?" I stayed calm, had my coffee in one hand and vacation mode shades in the other. "You don't have one." "What do you mean I don't have one?" "Canceled it. Figured since you hated the idea of the trip so much, you wouldn't want to suffer through it." She blinked, trying to process the fact that I'd actually gone through with it. Then she narrowed her eyes. "You don't own this family, Jack." I nodded. "You're right. Which is why you can plan your own vacation anytime you like." She turned to Mom and Dad for backup. Dad didn't even look up from his crossword. Jack paid his call. Mom sighed, not unkindly but firm. "You've been difficult, sweetie. Maybe this is a good time to reflect." Caroline scoffed like we'd all just handed her a cup of hot poison. "This is emotional abuse." Luke, standing off to the side with his hoodie pulled halfway over his face, muttered, "Well, it's definitely amusing abuse." Security started eyeing us, so I wrapped it up quick. "Caroline, I'm sorry you're upset, but I'm not sorry I'm taking a break from you. We're boarding now. Try not to burn down the terminal." And with that, we turned and walked away. She didn't follow, just stood there, lips trembling, staring at us like she couldn't believe the world was still spinning without her at the center. And you know what? It spun just fine. By the time we hit cruising altitude, Mom was already snapping photos out the window, Dad was snoozing with a neck pillow like a retired king, and Luke was laughing at memes with Hannah. No drama, no arguments, no snide remarks about how Jack thinks he's better than everyone. Just peace. But Caroline wasn't done. No, sir. You could practically feel her gears grinding, scheming from afar. And wouldn't you know it, she still found a way to try and ruin things, even from 800 miles away. We touched down in Florida mid-morning. The kind of morning where the sun feels like warm butter on your skin and the breeze smells like sea salt and overpriced sunscreen. We grabbed our rental, a big white Chevy Suburban, and headed straight for the beach house. Let me tell you, this place wasn't just nice. It was, we're getting compliments from strangers. Nice. Blue shutters, a wraparound porch, and a view so pretty you'd think it was painted on. I handed out welcome bags like some kind of dorky beach dad, and folks loved it. Even Dad, who usually thinks anything beyond a Motel 6 is too fancy, was grinning like a kid in a candy store. And you know what was missing? Noise. Drama. One woman turning every happy moment into a hostage situation. Without Caroline, the whole trip took on this golden glow. We went for beach walks, grilled fresh shrimp out back, and played cornhole till sunset. Luke actually laughed around our parents, full belly laughed, not that nervous chuckle he usually saves for awkward family moments. Mom got tipsy on sangria and tried paddleboarding. Dad wore Hawaiian shirts unironically. Even the neighbors came over one evening after hearing our music and said, "Y'all got good vibes over here." But that peace? Yeah, it was temporary. The first flare came on day 2, when Mom's phone started buzzing nonstop. Caroline. She sent 32 text messages before lunch. "I hope you're all enjoying your little betrayal vacation. Can't believe my own mother is okay with this. Just remember who was always there when things got hard. This is disgusting. You're letting Jack divide this family. When Dad gets sick one day, don't come crying to me." Yep, that escalated quick. Then came the fake emergencies. She called Dad saying the neighbor back home saw water leaking from our garage. Total lie. I checked the home security camera. No leak. No neighbor. Just Caroline, tossing pebbles in the driveway on her way home like she was trying to stage a flood. Later, she claimed she heard there was a hurricane warning on the coast and that we needed to evacuate immediately. Spoiler, there wasn't. Not even a breeze out of place. Luke snorted when he read that one. She's Googling weather now? That's commitment. And then, my favorite one, she tried to book her own flight down using Dad's frequent flyer points. Bless her heart, she didn't realize I already had the login. Canceled it the second it pinged. That night, sitting on the porch with a cold drink in my hand and the waves whispering in the distance, I looked around at my family. Mom and Dad were playing cards. Hannah and Luke were building a sandcastle like a couple of kids. And me? I was thinking one thought. This is what life could always feel like, without her. No eggshells, no passive-aggressive nonsense, no hijacked holidays. Just peace. And somewhere, probably curled up in a ball of bitterness and unreturned texts, Caroline was stewing like a pot of week-old chili. But her tantrums hadn't peaked yet. Nope, that was still coming. She had one more big swing left. And I was going to swing back harder. It was day 3, and I'll admit, spirits were high. We'd done beach volleyball, eaten shrimp tacos the size of a flip-flop, and Luke had just won a margarita-chugging contest against a guy named Mitch from Ohio. Everyone was glowing like we were lit from the inside out. And then Mom checked her phone and groaned. "Uh-oh," she muttered, scrolling. "What now?" I asked, already bracing for Caroline's latest meltdown. "She's posted something. Weird." We all crowded around. And there it was. A Facebook post, public for all 600 of her friends and frenemies. When your family chooses the golden boy over truth, you learn real quick who deserves your loyalty. Hope the view is worth it. Some of us are still living in reality. Broken heart, #betrayed, #family ISNT always blood, #pray for me. With a blurry stock photo of a storm cloud over a beach. I mean, it was almost impressive how dramatic she made a canceled vacation sound. You'd think we left her in a ditch with a flat tire and a broken flip phone. The comment section? Oh, it was poppin'. Her friends chimed in with the usual. "You're so strong, Caroline. They don't deserve you. Cut off the toxicity, girl." Sending light and strength candle sparkles. Meanwhile, we were literally playing Uno and eating popsicles. The most traumatic thing that had happened all day was Dad losing the air mattress pump. Then came the group text. She fired off a wall of words like a courtroom closing argument. "You people have humiliated me. You've made a public spectacle out of excluding me from something that should have been for all of us. Jack is manipulative. This isn't generosity, it's control. But go ahead, enjoy your little trip. Just know this won't be forgotten." Not a single person replied. Mom turned off her phone. Dad took a nap. I poured myself a whiskey and sat on the porch with my feet up like a man whose enemies were doing all the damage to themselves. She tried one more thing that night. She messaged Hannah directly, probably thinking she could turn her. She said, "Just be careful around Jack. He's good at making people owe him. He'll expect something from you later." Hannah showed me. She didn't even dignify it with a response. Just took another bite of her s'more and said, "I think your sister's having some kind of psychological molting process." Couldn't have said it better myself. We ended the night with a bonfire on the beach. Laughter, music, even a random golden retriever from the next house over that kept stealing marshmallows. And while we were sitting there, staring into the fire, I had a moment of clarity. Caroline hadn't ruined the trip. She'd freed it. Every moment she wasn't there, things got better. Lighter. More real. And for once, the rest of the family was starting to see it too. But don't worry, her final act hadn't come yet. No, Caroline had one more ticket in her pocket. But this time, she was the one about to get burned. The day started like a postcard. We hit the water early: paddleboards, beach chairs, Even Dad out there in a straw hat looking like he belonged on a sunscreen bottle. The sun was shining, the tide was just right, and Luke finally caught a fish that didn't embarrass the family name. And the best part? Still no Caroline. It was around noon when Hannah walked over with a smirk and said, "You're gonna want to see this." Caroline had just posted on Instagram a story rant, the kind where someone's in their car, sunglasses on, voice shaky but trying to sound empowered. So I just want to be really transparent about what's happening. My family exiled me, literally exiled, because I spoke my truth. They're all in Florida right now. They even gave my room to my cousin. Who does that? You know what? That's fine, because I don't need fake family. I'm better off. Then get this, she posted her Venmo username with the caption, "If anyone wants to help me escape this toxic life, I'd be so grateful. I'm trying to move out and start fresh. Every dollar helps." 2 arts. She turned her canceled vacation into a pity telethon, like she was some kind of noble exile from a Game of Thrones spinoff. We were sitting on beach towels, covered in salt water and sand, laughing. Even Mom cracked a smile and said, "Lord, she's going to end up on Dr. Phil if she keeps this up." But here's the twist, nobody donated. Not a dime. Not even her usual gaggle of wine-drunk Facebook sympathizers. Turns out when you throw a tantrum on the internet every month, folks stop bringing casseroles. And that's when things started to unravel for her. She didn't know it yet, but her roommate back home, some girl named Cassidy, had seen the post, saw her complaining about needing to escape, and took it literally. By the time we were ordering fresh crab cakes for lunch, Caroline had been officially uninvited from her own apartment. Cassidy texted her, "If this place is so toxic, feel free to find somewhere else. Locks change tomorrow." And like clockwork, that evening, Mom got a panicked call. Caroline, sobbing, real tears this time, said she had nowhere to go, claimed she was misunderstood, said Cassidy was being cruel and immature. Mom listened, gave her a few polite MHMs, and then she said something I never thought I'd hear from her. "Caroline, maybe it's time you looked in the mirror." Then she hung up. No promises to fly her down. No begging her to apologize. Just a dial tone. We were all sitting there on the porch that night, tiki torches flickering, moon coming up over the waves, and it hit me. She wasn't just out of the trip. She was out of excuses. See, Caroline thought she could manipulate her way back in. Thought the guilt would work. That our folks would cave like always. But this time, everyone saw through it. Her bridge wasn't just burned, it was dust. And we were eating key lime pie and toasting marshmallows. But don't worry, friend, Caroline's rock bottom still had a few floors left to fall. The day started like a postcard. We hit the water early, paddleboards, beach chairs, even Dad out there in a straw hat looking like he belonged on a sunscreen bottle. The sun was shining, the tide was just right, and Luke finally caught a fish that didn't embarrass the family name. And the best part? Still no Caroline. It was around noon when Hannah walked over with a smirk and said, "You're gonna want to see this." Caroline had just posted on Instagram a story rant, the kind where someone's in their car, sunglasses on, voice shaky but trying to sound empowered. So I just want to be really transparent about what's happening. My family exiled me, literally exiled, because I spoke my truth. They're all in Florida right now. They even gave my room to my cousin. Who does that? You know what? That's fine, because I don't need fake family. I'm better off. Then get this, she posted her Venmo username with the caption, "If anyone wants to help me escape this toxic life, I'd be so grateful. I'm trying to move out and start fresh. Every dollar helps." 2 arts. She turned her canceled vacation into a pity telethon, like she was some kind of noble exile from a Game of Thrones spinoff. We were sitting on beach towels, covered in salt water and sand, laughing. Even Mom cracked a smile and said, "Lord, she's going to end up on Dr. Phil if she keeps this up." But here's the twist, nobody donated. Not a dime. Not even her usual gaggle of wine-drunk Facebook sympathizers. Turns out when you throw a tantrum on the internet every month, folks stop bringing casseroles. And that's when things started to unravel for her. She didn't know it yet, but her roommate back home, some girl named Cassidy, had seen the post, saw her complaining about needing to escape, and took it literally. By the time we were ordering fresh crab cakes for lunch, Caroline had been officially uninvited from her own apartment. Cassidy texted her, "If this place is so toxic, feel free to find somewhere else. Locks change tomorrow." And like clockwork, that evening, Mom got a panicked call. Caroline, sobbing, real tears this time, said she had nowhere to go, claimed she was misunderstood, said Cassidy was being cruel and immature. Mom listened, gave her a few polite MHMs, and then she said something I never thought I'd hear from her. "Caroline, maybe it's time you looked in the mirror." Then she hung up. No promises to fly her down. No begging her to apologize. Just a dial tone. We were all sitting there on the porch that night, tiki torches flickering, moon coming up over the waves, and it hit me. She wasn't just out of the trip. She was out of excuses. See, Caroline thought she could manipulate her way back in. Thought the guilt would work. That our folks would cave like always. But this time, everyone saw through it. Her bridge wasn't just burned, it was dust. And we were eating key lime pie and toasting marshmallows. But don't worry, friend, Caroline's rock bottom still had a few floors left to fall. Because when she stops spinning the story and starts getting caught in her own web. Back home, Caroline was officially out of her apartment and out of options. Cassidy didn't just change the locks, she posted screenshots of Caroline's drama-laced social media antics and a detailed account of their roommate saga in the local community group. If you're ever considering living with someone who believes they're the main character, maybe don't. Especially when she accuses her family of exile because they didn't want her throwing tantrums on a free vacation. It got over 200 likes. One guy commented, "Wait, is this the same Caroline who got banned from trivia night for fighting with the host?" Apparently, yes. Yes, it was. Meanwhile, back on the beach, we were on day 5 of uninterrupted bliss. Mom was reading mystery novels by the water. Dad made pancakes and declared himself breakfast king. Luke and Hannah built a driftwood fort. I spent half the day napping in a hammock. And the only drama we dealt with was when the ice machine jammed. But back in her world, Caroline was circling the drain. She tried calling Luke. He didn't pick up. Tried messaging Hannah again. Left on read. Tried FaceTiming Dad, he answered. Stared at the screen in silence for a good 5 seconds, then hit end, without saying a word. The silence was louder than any argument we could have had. And still, she didn't get it. That night she posted another story. "You know, sometimes people are so blinded by manipulation they turn against the only one brave enough to stand up to it. I'm done trying to save them." Save us? From what? Sunburn? At that point, I couldn't even get mad. She was spiraling so hard, she thought she was the lighthouse and we were the ones lost at sea. And then, she made her final mistake. She called our parents' house collect. From a shelter. Not because she couldn't stay with friends. Oh no. She'd already burned all those bridges. Most of them were still smoldering. She told Mom she had nowhere to go and asked if she could come back home, just for a while. And Mom said, as cool and calm as ever, "Sweetheart, you're not 17 anymore. Actions have consequences." Dad added, "You wanted independence. This is it." Click. I gotta admit, that one sat heavy. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because it finally landed. She was alone. Really, truly alone. And she still thought she was right. Still thought she was the one being wronged. Didn't once say sorry. Not for the manipulation. Not for the guilt tripping. Not even for trying to hijack the vacation like some sort of family pirate. And that's when it hit me. Some folks don't change when they hit rock bottom. They just start digging. We got back home on a Sunday. Early flight, smooth landing. You know that calm you feel after a great trip? That mix of sunburn and peace in your bones? We had that. But Caroline? She was waiting. Well, not at the airport. She wasn't allowed past security. But she was circling the wagons. She'd been calling every cousin, aunt, and even our old youth pastor, trying to clear the air and tell her side of things. Didn't work. See, the problem with telling your side is, folks remember your last 5 sides. And Caroline had burned through more goodwill than a football coach on a losing streak. When we pulled into the driveway, Mom checked her phone. 3 voicemails. "I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I've been sleeping in my car. This is your daughter, Mom. If I die out here, just know I always loved you, even if you didn't deserve it." Classic Caroline, going from villain to martyr in under 60 seconds. She was staying in a Walmart parking lot 2 towns over. Claimed she just needed a week or 2 to get on her feet. Mom didn't respond. Dad, he took out the trash like it was any other day and said, "I don't trust a person who makes you feel bad for breathing easy." And I gotta say, after a week of sand, salt water, and no drama, our whole house felt lighter. Luke even said it. We all talk more when she's not here. It's like we don't have to walk on eggshells. And it was true. Caroline had been a one-woman weather system, sucking the oxygen out of every room. Now that she was gone, the windows were open, the air was moving, and we could all breathe again. But here's where it gets good. About a week later, she finally landed a spot at one of those weekly motel deals. A real grimy spot, known more for its broken vending machine than its hospitality. And guess who was still posting? Yep, surrounded by snakes, living out of a bag. And still, they think they're the victims. Some people don't want the truth, they want comfort. Hope your margaritas were worth it. I'm surviving. Even included a picture of a microwave burrito on a paper towel, like it was a war crime. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then she posted a final gem. Honestly, I'm better off. I don't need people who make me feel crazy for standing up for myself. My only regret is wasting so much time trying to please people who only cared when it benefited them. That's when I knew she hadn't learned a damn thing. No reflection, no accountability, no apology, just a victim in her own fantasy. And everyone saw it. Extended family stopped responding. Her college friends unfollowed. Even her exes, both of them, liked my beach photos out of nowhere. That's how you know it's over. She thought she'd start a war. But the world just moved on. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because Dad was mowing the lawn and Mom had just come back from the farmer's market with a bag of peaches and a new soap that smelled like citrus and vindication. I was in the garage swapping out the filter on Mom's air purifier when I heard a knock at the front door. Not the doorbell. No, Caroline never liked using things like buttons or manners. Just 4 solid knocks, like she was here to collect a debt. I peeked through the window. There she was, hair up in a messy bun, wearing the same hoodie from that Instagram story, holding a duffel bag that looked like it had lost a fight with a raccoon. Her car, an old silver sedan held together by hope and expired oil changes, was idling out front. I didn't say anything. I just waited. Mom opened the door. "Hey," Caroline said, doing that fake innocent voice, the one she used when she needed to borrow money or get out of a speeding ticket. Mom didn't smile, didn't move. "I just need a place to land," Caroline said, voice all trembly. "It's not forever. Just until I get something stable." Dad came up behind her, towel over his shoulder, still wearing his grass-cutting hat. "You made your bed, Caroline." "Seriously?" she said, blinking like she couldn't believe it. "I'm your daughter." "And we're your parents," Dad replied. "Not your insurance policy." Now, I'll give her credit. She tried to act hurt. "Wow," she said. "So that's it. You're just leaving me out here like a dog." Dad shrugged. "Dogs usually come back when they're called. You ran the other way, then lit the bridge behind you." She turned to Mom, expecting sympathy. But Mom just said, "We're not rewarding this behavior anymore." That hit her like a truck. "I'm homeless," she snapped. "You're seriously okay with me living in my car?" "No," Mom said calmly. "I'm just no longer okay with you living here." She stood there a while longer, waiting for the door to magically open, waiting for one of us to crack. Nobody did. After a minute, she stomped back to her car, threw her bag into the passenger seat, and peeled off like a teenager who just got grounded. And as she pulled away, something wild happened. Nobody felt guilty. There was no pit in our stomachs. No second guessing. Just this incredible wave of peace that washed over the house like a spring rain. We went inside, ate sliced peaches on the porch. Dad poured some sweet tea and said, "You know, I used to think it was our job to fix her." Mom replied, "She doesn't want to be fixed. She wants to stay broken and blame everyone else for the cracks." And right then I realized, we weren't abandoning Caroline. We were finally letting her own the mess she made. But the most twisted part? She still believed she was right. She went back to posting little jabs. Claimed she was cutting off toxic people and focusing on her journey. Said our family was jealous of her freedom. Freedom? She was still stealing Wi-Fi from a Dunkin' parking lot. But she never changed. Never apologized. Never admitted she was wrong. And in doing so, she gave us the greatest gift. Closure. No more calls. No more chaos. No more guilt-tripped holidays or manipulated birthdays. Just quiet. Just peace. Just freedom, the real kind.